And now it's recording. So I'm going to back up just a little bit. Welcome, everyone. I'm glad that you are here today. I'm kind of excited about the webinars. I think it'll be a way to touch base every month since we're all across the state and keep current and communicate with each other, share some things that are important. The chat box is going to be very important for this first section in particular. So we'll talk more here as I start the actual PowerPoint. So while I do that, if you could put in the chat box who's here and where you're from, if you could put your name of your school and any other information that you feel would be important to know, your county or your district number or anything like that. So go ahead and do that while I get the PowerPoint started. Okay, thank you. So if someone could put a thumbs up in your particular box or on your screen, that would be great. I just want to make sure that everyone can see the slide that says, welcome to Family Consumer Sciences. Okay, wonderful. So I'm calling this season 1, episode 1, just as a way to kind of keep this separate since I am recording it. And if we have people that say, oh, I saw something, I can't remember which one it is, I thought it would be a good way to communicate where we are in our conversation. We do have a guest speaker with us. I'm going to let Ellie introduce herself. We'll hear from her a little bit later. But Ellie, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Ellie Fulbright. I'm a state officer. I am the Vice President of Finance, and I'll be talking about what us officers are working on right now.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ellie, for taking time out of your schedule to be here. We're so excited to have you represent FCCLA. The information that I'm going to share today, I can get the PowerPoint to transition. Let me try this again. There we go. I want to start by just talking a little bit about why we're having the monthly webinars. And that is for communication, for networking, to build connections with business and industry and support agencies as we go through the year, understanding the processes at OPI, and then working more effectively and efficiently together. The format is this, as it said here. So from 3:30 to 3:45, it will be kind of a question and answer. It's going to be pretty informal as we move forward. Answering questions, just talking, sharing things, happenings, just kind of getting to know each other. I'm hoping that our new teachers will take advantage of that in particular, and that some of our more experienced teachers will be involved so that they can help answer some questions that individuals might have. So that will encourage that networking. And then the actual content will start at 3:45 and run to about 4:30, or stop before then if we don't have enough to fill up the time. So during that particular time frame, we'll have some updates, which is primarily what we're doing today. Some FCS things that might be more at the collegiate level, or with our professional organizations, or some things that are happening at the federal level. Whatever that happens to be. Resource sharing, some virtual speakers like we have today, and then any updates and integration suggestions or ideas we might have with FCCLA. So since we know FCCLA is our CTSO, and a number of you are integrating it into the classroom, which is exactly what the purpose is, it made sense to include that in this particular webinar format so that it's kind of a one-stop shop for everyone in the state. So this is our question and answer time. So I'm going to ask if people can unmute or start their video, and let's just see what type of questions that we might have today, or what you want to talk about. So who would like to start? questions today, huh? Nicole, do you have anything to report at the university level that you'd like everyone to know, or any questions that you might have that you want to share? Sarah, I think you started to unmute yourself.
No, I just was saying hi. That's all.
Okay. I think in the future, as we move forward, there'll be more questions. But I'll just, if you have one, just raise your hand, or just, you know, start your camera and just catch my attention so you can share. Is there anything, Shay, that you want to share about extension? Anything exciting that might be beneficial that CTE and FCS programming might be interested in?
I'm just really excited to get family and consumer sciences teachers in my building coming up. So if you're near Helena, I'm sure Gayla will talk about her face-to-face meetings in this little session we have, but I'm really excited to hopefully see some FCS teachers. I've just been kind of getting my feet under me. I've been in extension for 3 months. But if you want to reach out to me, it's just my first name dot my last name at montana.edu. And we have a lot of resources as far as family finance goes, or food preservation. I'm getting trained in food preservation in the next coming weeks. So I would love to answer any and all questions that could carry into the classroom for probably all of your content areas. I would say I'm not super knowledgeable about all of our resources yet, but I know where to go to get the information. So if you're looking for something, please reach out to me.
Yeah, that's great. I don't know how many in our state actually utilizes the extension service, but they have such a wealth of information, and not only accessible through your county, but they have this whole state network that's at Montana State University, the land grant. And they also have this national network. So if you have questions, or you are looking for a resource, or you're looking for a speaker about certain things, Shay will be the person to talk to in Lewis and Clark County, but she also could provide you the connections with people in other counties too, if you're not sure who to reach out to. But it's pretty phenomenal. If you have a question yourself in your content, you have a question that your students might have, you don't know the answer to, they're the people to go to. They're connected to the research. They might be able to find curriculum for you that you can utilize. And I know that they'll come into your classroom and actually be trainers and teachers. As I know I did that a lot when I was teaching too. They're a hidden resource that people just don't think about. And so I'm hoping that we can embrace that relationship a little more strongly by holding our face-to-face events and our extension partners in Helena with Shay, and then also with Jackie in Miles City. So we can help our Eastern folks and our Western folks have a location that's closer to them to be able to meet and work together. And I did get permission to do this, and I also asked to do one in the spring. So hopefully twice a year we'll be able to do that. And in between times, we'll have these webinars to continue to work together and move forward as we build what we know of as Montana Family Consumer Sciences and FCCLA, because that's a vital part, as we know. We just have a few minutes, so I'm going to ask again if anyone has anything they'd like to share. Ellie, if you have anything other than what we're going to talk about later that you have that you'd like to share with anyone, experience, what it was like to go to nationals, or just anything.
Well, was it June? June, we went, no, it was July. We had our state officer training. And so all of us 9 state officers and Shay and all of our advisors, we went over all of our officer goals and our state goals and everything. And so we're hoping to increase membership this year now that we're a little bit more past COVID. And so we're going and we're trying to increase that and get Montana active and everything. So I think our state officers are really excited for this school year. So other than what I have to talk about later, like I think the officer team is really enthusiastic this year. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we're really lucky to have such a strong officer team in Montana. Not having a state director, we're still in process of locating a person. The state officers have really done a great job of ensuring things move forward, and they're there for the members and help Montana FCCLA continue past where we are now, which is a challenge, and we all know that. But coming together as a family, we're able to move forward, make things happen. So thank you, Ellie, for being a part of that. According to my watch and my computer, we are just about at 3:45. So I'm going to go ahead and begin that section of our presentation today. Okay, it's doing it again. Just a minute. Okay, here we are. You all are able to see a similar slide that what we saw when we started today? Okay, so in the future, the question and answer session will be people who just want to pop in, and then I expect we'll have more individuals come in at 3:45, since that's our when we'll start the actual content. Don't hesitate to use the chat box, and I will check the chat box as we go on. I'll check right now, see if we have any questions. A few people have some meetings and they're popping in. But that's okay. So I'll just keep checking that. And if I'm not able to answer your chat while we're speaking today, I will make sure to look at it before I stop the Zoom call and respond to you individually. So please use that. Well, welcome to another school year and the webinar series that we talked about before. I do have some things that this is going to be a very interesting time if I can't get this to move forward. Here we go. And these are the things that we're going to talk about today. I want to set the stage a little bit about career and technical education in Montana, because a lot of the things that we will be working on, a lot of things I'm going to be talking about today and work that I'm hoping we'll be able to do at our face-to-face meeting is related to helping us develop some guidance so that we can all rely on each other and not have to do all the work ourselves. I'm a big one about coming together and creating things that we can all utilize and making sure that they're aligned to what we need to do, so we don't have to back up and try to reinvent the wheel. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what and how Family Consumer Sciences fits into the CTE model. Looking at our programs of study in particular, we have some updates and some courses and some things to utilize and think about when we're working within our schools and we're coding our classes. They're linked with our enrollments and how that is involved in an overarching way in Perkins and such. A little bit about our fall workshop, the planning that's happening. And Shay, like I said, she mentioned that earlier. She's one of our hosts for the event. And then our update by Ellie. And I need to start by asking Ellie if that's fine, or would you like to be one of the first ones? Because I can jump down and let you do yours now. But I liked it at the end because I think people will be able to see how what you're sharing with them fits in with their classroom curriculum, but I think we could do it the other way too.
Yep, whenever works for me.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And then a little bit of the save the date, talking more about the face-to-face events that we'll have happening at the end of the month. That I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to be a part of that and bring that to you. So as far as career and technical education, I just have some main points. And I'm going to circle some of the sections that are most important for us to consider. So I'm going to go through each one, and then you'll see a circle pop up. And that's the area I really want you to think about and consider as we move forward with the rest of our presentation today. Career and technical education overarching is preparing students of all ages to succeed in education and careers in our competitive global economy by addressing high wage, high skill, and or high demand occupations. So the thing to consider here is the high wage, high skill, high demand. Career and technical education resulted out of the Department of Labor and the Department of Education at the federal level, saying we need to really consider our future needs in our country for a workforce and help students understand what those areas are as they look to select their occupations for their adult life. So anything that we promote in CTE is to be high wage, high skill, and/or high demand in an occupational manner. And then that justifies why we get funding from the state and the federal level to support our classrooms. That's why we get Perkins, and that's why we have House bill monies and that sort of thing. The second component is creating an educational environment that integrates core academics with real world relevance within a technical field of study. So in our case, we're looking at family consumer sciences as a field of study in which we have 4 pathways that are recognized in the state. And the piece here is integrating core academics. So that means that if we're doing something in culinary, it is encouraged that we actually bring in science components, because cooking and baking really is just science principles. If we're working with in our clothing labs and we're dealing with fractions, that's talking about math, but also reading patterns and reading the guide sheets that go along with patterns. That's technical reading. So that's integrating language arts. I think you get the idea of what that means. Is relying on the sciences and the academics for some of our verbiage, but also pointing out to students, this is how you use that in real world applications. And it might mean also we're reaching out and working with your academic teachers a little bit more strongly if you don't already. The third component is developing 21st century skills that employers want through authentic application, I mean, that's real world stuff related to the academic and technical knowledge, looking at it through careers. So in family consumer sciences, this is very unique because our fields are based on the needs of people. We'll talk a little bit more of that later today too. And if we're talking about the needs of people, the best way to teach that is having people understand how does it impact you and your lives today? And then move on to this is also the skill set you need if you go into a career that helps other people meet their needs. And so we're very unique in that we meet personal needs of people, but also then can introduce those careers that are related to bringing that knowledge to other people that might be struggling. So the areas that I'm going to circle here is actually 2. And one is 21st century skills. Some people call those soft skills. Some people call those employability skills. But those are the skills that employers are looking for in a worker. And then the authentic application is the other piece, making sure it's real world, that it actually has and is being seen in an application that exists today. It's not made up, but it's real world. So if you go into that field or you go to observe that field, you do some work within people who are in that industry, you're going to go, oh, I recognize that piece of equipment because I utilized that when I was in my classroom. Or, oh, I remember that terminology because I used that terminology in my classroom. The last one is talking about a sequence of courses. Sequence of courses means that there's increased rigor for students, that they're foundational in introducing the concepts, then having the technical skill training added, and then working in an application that's related to the workplace. And that all enhances those professional habits and actually leads to long-term work success. And we know that because there's been long-term studies that shows that students that have taken CTE courses are more likely to graduate from high school, they're more likely to complete post-secondary education, they're more likely to be holding down a job within 5 years of their graduation from high school. And there's actually studies that have shown for every dollar spent in CTE programming at the secondary level will equal over $12 of economic benefit to the economy after graduation. So that's a great investment. And so the area here is twofold. One is sequence of courses. So think about that. How do we start foundationally and move forward in introducing our students to higher skills or skills applied in different ways? And then include that workplace experience, which I think is so vitally important. Also, and that kind of relates to authentic application, but the difference is Authentic application could be utilizing it in a personal way. So utilizing communication skills with peers or within your family versus looking at workplace skills where you're utilizing communication, say in a culinary lab. So they're kind of the same, but they're kind of different. In Montana, we have some ways in which we interpret those. And this again has some things I'm going to circle, and we'll come back to these on why they're relevant and important. In the CTM Montana is directly aligned with the Department of Labor to meet workforce demands. So some states have certain pathways that Montana doesn't, because it doesn't make sense for Montana to have those pathways, but it makes sense for those in their particular state to have those pathways. So workforce demands, and I put this link at the bottom of this slide. This is a link to the Montana labor market information. And if you want to know what is the labor market in the state of Montana or your county, you can go to this, and I have a screenshot on the next slide to show you what it looks like. And you can look by county to see where your workforce demands are. We do know, as far as the whole state, hospitality and tourism is the second strongest economy in our state. So that means that our hospitality and tourism pathway is right up there as being relevant and important for the state. The second thing is that we align what we do at the secondary level with post-secondary. We talk to post-secondary, talk to them about dual credit, alignment, also looking at courses you might have in high school that are a precursor to things that you might have at the post-secondary level where you don't have to retake it, or you might automatically be able to be enrolled in or accepted into a program that otherwise you have to take a test to enter, or you have to take other courses before you get into those. Sometimes they call those articulation agreements. And in that case, the thing to think about is secondary to post-secondary and how important that is. Because I don't know about you, but taking a course in high school and then turn around when I was in college and I remember a psychology course, and I was like, I already had this in high school. Why am I have to retake it? So it would have been nice if I had dual credit and I could have earned that in high school, and then I wouldn't have had to take that class in college. Although I got a good grade in college because I already knew the stuff, but I guess that's one benefit. But otherwise, it really seems like a waste of time. The third thing is credentialing and thinking about credentials. Credentials are developed by educational facilities or by industry to show mastery of content or knowledge. And by earning a credential while you're in high school, that can have real benefit when you go into the workforce directly from high school, or if you're going on to post-secondary. In some cases, they like you to have the credential before you go into those programs. And sometimes you can start the credential in high school, but you can't really finish it because of how lengthy the process is, but you could build on it and then finish when you're in post-secondary, which could be a technical school, could be a 2-year school, and it could be a 4-year institution or more. The fourth one is direct technical skill training using actual equipment, terminology, and work-related procedures. So again, how do you get the actual equipment? How do you use the terminology? That's where I come into play, is helping you meet with industry or having industry provide to us what they see needs to be included. And then we have federal money through Perkins that your schools can apply for to help you purchase the equipment that you need. So that's kind of how that ties together. And then the last one is supported by state and federal funding. And the reason why that's important to consider is they're the ones kind of driving the ship, if you will, and or sailing the ship. And so they do have things that they would like to see happen in our classrooms, because collectively that will change the workforce readiness for the entire nation. We're just worried about Montana, but Montana is one of multiple states. And so together in the United States, we need to do our part, and we are, by looking at our Perkins direction and the guidance that we have at OPI, of which I'm part of, and the one that represents and works to provide you with what we need for our family consumer science related pathways. Here is, and I know this is hard to see, but this is what the screenshot looks like for the Department of Labor market information page. The link that I had in the, and I can copy that and put it in the chat too, before we end today. But there's two parts that are really, I think, something you'd want to know about. This is where it says employment by industry, and this is updated all the time. And so this is based right now on 2001 data, but I believe it's updated every 6 months. So we should be seeing a new one for the first part of 2002 here shortly. And then at the top of the page, that's where what you see now is all of Montana, but you can search by county, and then all the data will change and it'll be by your county. And I didn't know if you all knew where to find that. And so I'll make sure that y'all get that link. CTE in Montana, this is the data I was telling you about from the national level, some of the percentages. Well, this tells you what's happening in Montana. This was updated in March of 2022. How many students we have that have enrolled or are presently enrolled in a CTE class. It's just about 30,000. We have also receive about $6.3 million in federal funding that's disseminated into the states and helps support things at the state level with OPI, so that we're able to be in our positions to help you. But I think it's kind of cool to see, because Montana's not a huge state, the number of people that live here, but the numbers show that we're really doing some great things. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the website. I'm sure most of you are, but since I'm recording this, some people, this may be new for them. Just Google Montana Office of Public Instruction, and you will get a general page, and you'll look under educators, and you'll see a link that says career and technical education, and then this is what you'll see. Or you can just search career and technical education and click on it, and this is what you'll see. We still recognize in the state 5 program areas, of which Family Consumer Sciences is one, and you see the link there. And if you click on those, then that's going to give you more information about the particular program area. If you scroll down the page, you will see it says Carl D. Perkins Resources. And when it comes to accessing the pathways themselves, which we're going to talk about now, that's where you find that link. It says Career Pathways. And when that opens, then you're going to see something that looks like, oops, I'm ahead of myself. Something that has a list of pathways, and I'll get to that in a minute. But the reason we have pathways, it's a national model that all states in the United States have now accepted. And that's using what's been provided to us at the federal level through Perkins to help us set the relevancy of our programs across the nation. So there's people like me in other states that work with Family Consumer Sciences. We set the skill set is set by industry. We've involved local industry, but also at the national level, they've been involved in setting what the skill set needs to look like. Courses being identified and what that means by knowledge and skills, what expectations there are for work-based experiences, what equipment people should be using, that sort of thing. Employability skill training, how to include that in your classroom. And then demonstration of employability skills and technical skills through a career and technical student organization is considered a best practice. And for Family Consumer Sciences, the one CTSO that includes all of our pathways is Family Consumer Sciences, Family Career and Community Leaders of America, or FCCLA. And I have a couple links there, both to the Montana website and the national website. And Ellie's going to tell us a little bit more about all that here in about 5 minutes. Well, actually, no, about 10 minutes. So looking at all of our pathways, this is where FCS is listed. I know some of you might have seen this before, and our particular pathways that are listed. But the piece that I really want you to look at as well is this piece. And this is where the 21st century skills, which is called the employability skills, the graduation requirements, the advanced learning, or that transition from secondary to post-secondary, and then what post-secondary opportunities there are that exist in Montana. So this cuts across all the program areas, but is specifically those areas that touch Family Consumer Sciences are very unique to those particular skill sets. So communication is important to all the pathways, But communication in a construction program is different than communication when you're working with early childhood programs. And it's still communication, but it's at different levels. Math in construction is a whole different ballgame than math in culinary, for the fact that they're working more with angles, we're working more with fractions and quality control when it comes to quantity cooking and that sort of thing. As far as the family consumer science careers goes, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, which is what this is a picture of, our careers all fit in the bottom 3 levels, bottom 3 tiers. And if you think of our FCCLA employability skills experiences, that can go clear up to the top. Other CTSOs provide some similar opportunities as well. But FCCLA really directly impacts the individual in all of our programming. But our careers fall in the bottom 3 levels, meaning the needs of people. Now, this is the sheet that I was, or the page that I was hoping that I thought was coming next. And this is what it looks like when you click on that career pathways link I mentioned. All the pathways are listed, but the 4 family consumer science ones that are identified is design and construction, FCS, which is our interior and fashion areas, education, which actually goes from kindergarten through 12th grade, post-secondary and workforce training. And then we have our hospitality and tourism, which includes culinary, and human services, which is really where our early childhood prior to kindergarten fits. It's kind of a holistic thing in a range, but that's where those fit. So if we look at, this is considered a program of study. This is what has been provided and what you will have pop up when you click what we just were at. If you click on, in particular, hospitality and tourism, this is what you'll see. If you click on construction, this is what you'll see. If you click on agriculture, you'll see the agriculture version. But if we break it down, if you consider what we talked about before, we talked about workforce need, we talked about embedding academics and having academics a part of what we do, talking about careers, this is all provided for you. You do not have to recreate the wheel. In fact, you have the industry information with trends, the demands on the left-hand side. The bottom of this page, you'll have the high school graduation requirements, which includes, if you notice, the suggestion that every year a student have at least 1 half-credit CTE course that they take. So in the course of the 4 years, they will have 2 full credits. On the other side, they have the sample careers that are listed. So you can talk about what careers there are in your classrooms when you're having this particular pathway. And then we have in the middle, which is called the actual program of study, and those are listing courses. So you'll see that it's kind of a table. On the very left-hand side, you'll see a course number. There's a 5-digit course number. That's called the SCED code. You don't have to remember that. Just that there's a course number. That's a federal level or national level course code that was developed. Enrollments are gathered every fall across the nation and submitted to the Department of Education, so they can say how many students are taking nutrition class, or how many students are taking algebra 1, or not algebra 1, but algebra 1, or how many students are taking speech. That this is how they know those answers. We have our course titles. Those are a state title. Locally, you can change and use whatever title that you feel like you want to. On the left-hand side, you'll see the value or the length of the course that's been identified previously. Half means a semester, and a full credit means a full year. So this is the basics of what it looks like. The courses are divided up into 2 levels, foundational level and the elective level. And so when you're thinking about a pathway in Montana, you need to be able to offer the students in a course of 4 years, 1 full credit at the foundational level and 1 full credit at the elective level. So the foundational level would be considered probably something a freshman or sophomore would take. That's like the introductory piece. And then the elective level is where the technical skills start, and they might overlap a little bit with sophomore, junior year. And then the senior year, the expectation is that they would be enrolled at least half of their school year into something called a workplace experience. And you'll see that name in the title. And that means they're practicing the skills that they've learned in this pathway, either leaving the school setting and going to work in an actual workplace, or the school's recreating the experience in the in-house. So that's then gets that sequence. Remember, we talked about sequence of courses. So let's do a deep dive into our FCS pathways right now. Important things to consider. Again, to have a pathway, you need to offer locally at least 1 credit. You can have more than 1 credit offered at the foundational level, and at least 1 credit at the elective level. You could have more that you offer. You can offer courses, and if they don't meaning they don't have enough enrollment, that's okay. At least you offered it to the students. The second thing is course codes do matter because it shows sequence. Certain 5-digit codes mean they're foundational. Other codes mean they're elective. And some of those elective courses are labeled for workplace, which ends in a 9.8 or a 9.9. So that means that's their capstone, or that's their workplace experience, or that upper level of the sequence, which is what that's talking about. Because there is a measurement that your school reports how many students have taken a course that have one of those codes. So that's why it's important. Some codes do overlap. And if they overlap from different pathways, it means the students can go different directions. You only have to offer it once, and they only have to take it once, but they can go in different directions. And then think about how human services, which is one of our 4 pathways, might be the best choice if you're wanting to introduce all pathways and you don't have a lot of time on your schedule, or you don't have a lot of teachers in your school. So we're going to start thinking about it today, but we're going to talk more about that when we have our on-site face-to-face. So I know you can't see these, but again, I'm going to share the link with everyone to the PowerPoint. But in Design FCS, same format we talked about before. But you notice some of this courses are in yellow. Those are new courses that have been added for this year. Those new courses expands the offerings. In some cases, it provides an overlap from across all pathways. So if you as a teacher decide that you want to have multiple pathways, you can start people together in certain courses because you find that same course as at the foundational level for all 4. And then you could end in the Family Consumer Science workplace experience, which is also now included in all 4. So depending on what the students took in the middle, in the course of their programming, as they go through your classes, that would determine what workplace experience, FCS workplace experience they would have as a senior. So those that have taken early childhood courses would do early childhood workplace. Those have done more culinary, food related would do food workplace experiences, and so forth. Here is the education and training pathway. It has a lot of similar courses that the human services pathway has, as far as human development, child development, those types of things. Here's hospitality and tourism. Notice it has quite a few more courses than the others. That's because we have this big culinary initiative, but we also have the hospitality and tourism piece. And we have our class 4 license only in hospitality and tourism. Some of these courses only FACS teachers can teach. Some of them, the class 4 culinary arts teacher can teach as well, but some of them they can't. This is the only pathway that has that alternative licensure. The other pathways, you have to be family consumer sciences in order to teach those particular courses. And then we have our human services. So human services, just briefly, they include life skills pieces, some nutrition and food preparation pieces, the child development, the elder care, some things like interpersonal relationships, human growth and development, and a number of those courses are also offered in education. So if you, again, you offer it once, can overlap in multiple pathways. And again, the same thing, think about what we talked about, the codes matter, how you're going to offer courses, and how can you overlap some of those pathways. We have 2 events coming up. We're going to build on all of this. It's going to start between 9:30 and 10 on the 2 dates, which the next sheet will talk about the 2 dates, ending by 3:30. The agenda will be a deeper dive into the pathways, looking at what's the credentials, them industries, how can what I teach be utilized to teach a pathway or add a pathway to what you're already teaching. We'll have some framework discussions about standards and resources and equipments lists that we'll create. So then that'll be helpful. We'll share it across the state. We'll divide people into groups and then they'll only work on part of it, but then we'll share all the information with everybody. We'll have some virtual speakers, Lead for Change as an organization that our FCCLA state officers were involved with and introduced to at nationals. And they have a curriculum that's free and actually mini grants that our chapters can utilize to do some projects within the schools. And then we'll also have FCS, FCCLA integration and an update from FCCLA. And any other topics that you want me to include, you can send those to me anytime and I'll make sure that we include it that day. You do bring a laptop, a syllabus, or your equipment list if you can, so we can start to build with that framework. Registration is going to be free, but there will be a registration list so we kind of know numbers of people that are coming, and that link will be coming out soon. Our 2 locations is in Miles City, and I just noticed that I didn't put the dates on there. So in Miles City will be September 29th. Let me double check. And our Western event in Helena is September 30th. So it's right at the end of the month. This is the location. Our FCS agents are going to be our hosts, and they'll talk a lot about what they can bring into the classroom more specifically for you, because they're great people and they have great resources. So employability skills, that's where we're kind of going back into that middle section. And our best practice is considered CTSOs in which to build those skills. And with the leadership and the employability skills and authentic applications and some of the technical skills that they can build through their competitive events and so forth, is why we have that and recognize that. But I'm going to let Ellie now talk. This is her time to finish us out today. And this is a wonderful picture of her from the website with her title and her where she's from, Fergus High School. And so with that, I'm going to stop and ask Ellie to move forward with what she's going to share. And if you have any questions for me, go ahead and put them in the chat right now and I'll answer those at the end. So Ellie, it's all yours.
All right, thanks, Kayla. Let me pull up my notes that I have. So our State Executive Council, we're in the process of sending a welcome back to school. So if you haven't gotten that yet, your district representative will be sending that out hopefully soon to schools, and hopefully it should be sent out by today. But just make sure you get your, if you don't have your officers yet for your chapter, that's all right, but get that soon, and then you can get that information to your state council members, just because we are going to try and not only communicate with chapter advisors this year, but also the chapter presidents and members. So a couple benefits of having an FCCLA chapter. I made a poll and asked a couple people, and so I have past members and current members responding, but they just were saying how great a life experience it is, and how sometimes when you're shy, you get to put yourself out in situations that you're a little bit more uncomfortable in. And so it helped people grow positively in different ways, and all of the opportunities and traveling, the leadership connections, and you can be involved as you want to be. It's not like you have to do everything, but you can do as much as you want or as little as you want. And then the connections with people. I know that I'm still in contact with a lot of people I met at nationals from other states, and just the comparison that you have with them. So that's really awesome to have for FCCLA. We do have new membership packages. Gayla, if you want to talk about those a little bit. I know there are a couple different opportunities, but I'm not knowledgeable enough to explain them.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you, Ellie, for that kind of segue into that. In the past, FCCLA in Montana has been an affiliation based on a member by member fee that is collected and then turned in to the national level, so that students are recognized as members, and therefore opportunities for travel and for participation in different events are open to them. And also resources for advisors are provided with that. But we have two new packages that are pretty exciting. And if you have received the FCS Happenings e-newsletter that just went out, that has a link that will tell you in more detail what I'm going to share with you right now. There's two packages. One is called the Montana FCCLA Top 25 package. So you can have up to 25 members for a set fee, which means you don't have to ask students for funds, for membership funds. The other one is the Montana FCCLA Big Sky package, and it's unlimited. You don't have a cap of how many, there's no minimums and there's no maximum. That both of those also provides free registration for the advisor to the Advisor Academy training, which is held in November. It's virtual. You also get a free national program resource, which has lots and lots of resources you can utilize in the classroom, because our FCCLA materials are aligned to our national FCS standards, which are what the FCS programming in Montana is based on. So it's already going to be connected for you, already going to be aligned. Academics are also already embedded. Assessment pieces are already included. And all those would be for you to utilize, and you get one of those free. We have 6 national programs, and you get to pick which one of those. So if you do a national package for 6 years, you're going to be able to get all 6 for free. The packages are Perkins eligible, which means that you could talk to your CT director, and you can use Perkins to purchase the package. And then it provides students who are presently enrolled or have taken your classes in the past to be members. So we wanted to have the up to 25 for our smaller schools who may not even have 25, not more than 25 kids that have even taken family consumer sciences, and then the unlimited package. So the affiliation packages are pretty well set at the up to 25. If you have at least 20 members, anything between 20 and 25 basically is free membership for Montana. And if you have the unlimited, anything over 40 is considered free Montana membership. So that's kind of where the cut is for a Montana part of the affiliation fee. So there's an actual sheet that's linked through the FCS Happenings e-newsletter, where you can see the breakdown. It talks more about the benefits. Some schools in some states are looking at this as an equity piece, an inclusion piece, where all students equally have the opportunity to be in a CTSO, be an FCCLA, and it doesn't become a financial question for the student if they're able to afford it or not. So, and affiliation is open now, and there's a portal for advisors, and I understand that we will have more guidance for people who might need it later on this month or next month on how to fill out the affiliation information. But now would be the time to talk to your CT director if you'd like to utilize Perkins money to offer it to your students where they don't have to pay membership.
Awesome. Thanks, Gayla.
Mm-hmm.
Also on this Sunday, so the 11th at 7 p.m., we have the State Outreach Project Kickoff webinar. There should be a recording of that if you can't make that, but our State Outreach Project theme this year is Incredible You, as our state and national theme is incredible with red colored. So our theme is our outreach project is Incredible You, and it's a focus on mental health. So we'll be working with mental health this year. We all just thought that was super important. And then we will be doing Talk of the State again, coming out soon. And then also make sure to watch for us on social media. So our Instagram is FCCLA Montana. Then there's the National FCCLA. And then also, if you like fun, random FCCLA, we do have our Instagram page for our state mascot, Bernardo. And I think that's about it. If you go to the website, it's mtfccla.org. There's a lot of extra information on there. And you can always reach out to your district rep on the state team, which all of our contact information is on the website if you look up the State Executive Council.
Okay, wonderful. Any questions for Ellie? You have anything you want to ask her? How many years have you been a member, Ellie?
This is my 4th year. Yeah, we don't have it in junior high, so I've done it all of high school.
Okay, and what brings you back?
The people. I've met a lot of really good friends and a lot of really fun people through FCCLA. And my mom used to do fundraisers with FCCLA, so I've always seen the red blazers and everything, and so I've always wanted to be a kid in the red blazer. So that's just as fun for me to be present.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Some of you that are on here might have been in FCCLA when you were in high school. I know I was, and that's where I found my home. That's where I found where I could be me, and why I picked the field to go into so I could play it forward and have students of my own in FCCLA. So thank you, Ellie, for that. Please add any questions that you might have in the chat. I do want to share one thing that I know FCCLA does that's a benefit for you, and they offer some special packages. And one of the things that I wanted to share is in the culinary area, and Chef Works has a national contract to bring to you very reasonably priced aprons, chef jackets, hats, culinary towels that you utilize along the food line. And you can access that through a school's hashtag at chefworks.com. And then a new release this summer was with the Hinkles organization. Hinkles is a brand of knives that the industry knows is top of the line. If you go into culinary, or if you just want a really good knife set that holds its sharpness and is weighted well for your hand, that's a Hinkles made product. And they decided that it's really important for students in high schools to utilize good equipment, but they know that schools are kind of hindered by the amount of money they have. And so they're offering knife sets. It's a series of 5 knives in a rollable sleeve. So it's a fabric that the knives are in, and then you roll it up and it has a tie. And they're selling it to FCS programs that have FCCLA at cost. And the link is there for Jay Avison, JAVELSON at ZWILLINGUS or zillingsus.com. And as an incentive, the state of Montana will get a little bit of a kickback as far as money for every set that's sold. But it's very reasonably priced when it comes to a set of Hinkles. But you can ask both those individuals, they can send you more information. That's another benefit to you for being in an FCCLA chapter. You have to access those offerings. If you were to purchase, you have to purchase it through your advisor portal. So you have to have a chapter to have access to the portal. That's just one example. So now's the chance again. Do I have anybody who has any comments or questions about things we talked about today? We only have a few minutes left together. You can unmute and just ask if you have any questions. I wanted to just start off with the school year with some foundational things. When we meet face-to-face, we will have a lot of resources shared with you, a lot of opportunity for embedding and integrating items into your classroom, as well as working on this framework so we can share with everyone, and that'll provide you a little bit more guidance and support as far as syllabus and course content, equipment that you might want to consider that people have found to be really beneficial for their programs. So is there any questions or comments for those of you who attended today? Okay, well then I'll go to the last slide. I want to wish you a great school year as we start this 22-23 year. It just feels like we're back to normal. I'm putting that in quotations. For the first time in so long, it feels very, very nice and very good, and very excited to be here to help you with your programming in your school. So do not hesitate to send me an email of things that you might need. I'm making a list of common questions that I'm getting to create a frequently asked questions with the answers. And I need you to share with me what your needs are so I can look for those and bring them to you. So with that, any last comments from anyone? Okay, well, thank you again, Ellie, for being our guest speaker. Really appreciate you taking time out of your day and seeing you in your wonderful red jacket, and you did a great job. So thanks. And thank you all for being a part of our first webinar of at least 9 over the school year, and hope to see you at our face-to-face events later on this month. So have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here.